Hello and welcome to our show today. I'm really glad you could join us. So look, there's a lot of money and success to be had in the insurance industry. But last time I checked, it's pretty crazy. It's got like a 95% or 95% failure rate. So if you don't know what you're doing, it's very tough to be successful in that space. But now's a great time to get it if you do know what you're doing. So what I did is I brought on one of the foremost experts on this topic to come in today and talk to us about really how to become a top producing insurance agent, the inside track to success. So you could be one of the 5 or 10% that really knock it out of the park and succeed in this space. So David Duford owns davidduford.com, a virtual insurance agency helping people, new and experienced agents, nationally become top producers. He's the author of 3 best-selling insurance sales and marketing books, including The Official Guide to Selling Insurance for New Agents, The Official Guide to Selling Final Expense Insurance, and interviews with top producing insurance agents as well. He's also got a massive social media following. He's on YouTube alone. He's got about 18,000 subscribers, more than 1.5 million views. So this is the guru of insurance agents. David, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Appreciate it, man.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Duford. It's French.
Ooh, I like it. Duford. All right, cool. Well, my apology, but I'm glad we got that right. Usually I do that.
Everybody messes it up. I'm used to it. I've been called worse.
Well, man, that's cool. You're the only one I've talked to in the space. And I got to tell you, I have a lot of friends in insurance and they make a lot of money. So I appreciate you joining us to teach us what it takes to be successful versus the huge amount that fail.
You got it, man. You got it.
So let's talk about that. I mean, statistically, I read something crazy. I think it was like 95% of people in insurance, or 90% of people in insurance, 95%, I don't know, you probably know statistic than I do, don't make it in insurance. So do you know that statistic? And why is it that so many people come into this space and don't make it?
Well, there's easy come, easy go is probably the biggest reason why. And yeah, those numbers kind of get thrown out there. It's approximately 90% plus. First of all, it's a low barrier to entry profession. All you need is a license to be, deemed an insurance agent. Whereas in most businesses, you need what? You need capital to invest, training, et cetera. It's very easy to get into the business. So the amount of people that fail out is much higher. So I think that's a contributing factor as well. Also, but kind of more, I think, poignant to anybody in your audience that have looked at insurance, maybe they've gotten messages on job boards. Insurance people are always hiring. And there is a seemingly MLM cult-like culture that really permeates the insurance sales business, especially the life insurance side. And that kind of rah-rah tends to turn off a lot of people and brings a lot of people in droves, but it doesn't have the kind of sticking power to train an agent how to self-sufficiently produce business. So that also contributes to it as well. Bottom line, if you think about this, selling insurance more like a business than you would a job, most businesses fail in 5 years too, if you look at the stats. So there's a big connection. If you think about this business as running an insurance business, which it really is, the stats do kind of make sense and follows kind of the norm with all businesses.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is that I think one of the biggest points is that I see a lot of people that get into a space where it's like you got to go find your own leads. It's really tough. A lot of people don't succeed there. And
100%.
Being able to help them get leads or understand a strategy to be able to do so seems to be the key in things like real estate and insurance as well.
Right. Yeah. In our business, it's no different. This is an activity-based business model. Now, we specialize in final expense, which is we call so-called burial insurance, Medicare, some annuities. And with all of those systems, we've carefully selected lead vendors that get to answer that question is, okay, I'm a licensed agent. Now what? How do I actually sell this stuff, not just read about how to become an agent? And if you don't have the marketing system in place, you don't have a business. And so knocking this down and getting this right is absolutely critical. You cannot guess this. You have to have a system, preferably one that's already been proven to work in order to have any chance of success selling insurance.
So how do you get your agent started off? What are some of the key fundamentals that you found that help insurance agents from the beginning get on track to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the big one is proper training. A lot of the agencies out there that recruit, they throw you to the wolves, and there's some value to that, just getting out there and seeing what happens. But I think you got to be prepared for battle, right? We're going to war here. You just don't grab a sword and a shield and jump in and hope for the best. You have to prepare and train and be ready when the time comes so that you can give yourself the best chance of success. So, that's number one. I mean, number two, of course, is having a sales and marketing system that we've already tested and proven that you don't have to worry about figuring out, that you can go implement and execute and simply just follow. So to me, those are non-negotiable. If you're going to get into any business on the insurance side, you got to have that in place. And we really try hard to make that so.
So, like, what do you do, or what do you find successful as a strategy to help insurance develop a scalable way to go out and get new customers?
I mean, it's funny. I mean, like our number one marketing strategy for agents that sell face to face is direct mail. And it's 2021 when we're filming this. I mean, people still like, read and reply to junk mail. Yeah, it's awesome. It works arguably better than ever. And the nice thing about a lot of these lead systems is they're all naturally scalable. It's weird, a lot of marketing gurus talk about putting different fish poles in the water that kind of market. If you think about different marketing strategies have in our business, you can have one really good strategy and just scale it to the moon. And it's just a function of volume and increasing the lead flow, and then figuring out how to shorten your average presentation time, and you can run a lot of appointments and scale up.
So what is it? Do you experiment a lot with digital marketing, like
Yeah,
Facebook, Google ads, stuff like that? And how effective is that stuff in your industry?
it is. It's funny, like digital marketing got hot, specifically Facebook marketing, because that's where everybody is. So it makes sense for a life insurance product. Everybody's buying life insurance, or everybody's a prospect for life insurance potentially. So go to where everybody's at, Facebook. It was hot 4 or 5 years ago. There wasn't a lot of competition, but our market has experienced a huge demographic trend where there's a lot of attraction to it because there's just fundamental demographics in the age of Americans that are pushing our products to be more popular than ever. And so there's been a rush of interest in digital marketing. And what's happened, it's funny, in our business, the quality of the leads have kind of lessened in quality, because all of these leads are retargeted to other people that click on an ad. Well, then another burial insurance ad shows, and then you don't really get a unique or exclusive lead. You're in competition with other agents, and yeah, you pay a cheap price, but a lot of the times the quality is not there. So if you're going to do digital marketing, what we recommend now is, used to be you just would buy leads from a vendor. We recommend you learn how to do it, and not just how to generate an interest, somebody that fills out a form, but you need to have some back-end processes that automate text message sequences or emails that teach the person about insurance before you talk to them, or introduce yourself to them before you talk to them. So sell them on you, to have any kind of chance to be successful in digital marketing. It's really important.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because I don't hear too many agency owners or anybody in insurance that gets that, sales funnels, conversion mechanisms, building trust, credibility, rapport by providing value education. So is that one of the things that you help your agents with, is kind of understanding what a sales funnel is, how to get people in there, how to build trust, credibility, rapport, how to provide information and education? And if so, like why do you think that that's so essential?
Well, it's because it's a really a newer thing that we're looking at, especially really on the digital side. The thing with insurance sales is it's not been disrupted as much as, say, I don't know, the travel industry, for example, where everything's become automated. And we can all think of industries that there used to be sales reps that would actively prospect that are no more. In insurance, not much has really changed. It is still a face-to-face, largely sales process, more now virtual with the pandemic and all that. But this is still get somebody that raised their hand and express interest, and get in front of them and have a conversation with them. More now, though, and I think you're going to see this over the next 5 to 10 years, is insurance is going to catch up. And one way of differentiation is going to have to be these kind of sales funnel processes to just build value in the salesperson, because more and more people are becoming, even though it's unique to insurance to have salespeople, and people want to talk to agents. It's again unusual with insurance, but more and more are not wanting to. And so you're going to have to give people reasons to talk to you, which means have some kind of educational sequence or text message sequence, something to just sell them on you before the conversation takes place.
Are you finding that that you're seeing a trend there, that fewer people want to talk to agents and more people just want a system where they can go online and kind of self sign up and do things without that agency? Or, because it's a good point you bring up, like my insurance agent's still somebody I want to talk to. Like
Yeah.
that's still something I'm uncomfortable doing, like on my own, even if they made it convenient on their site. So are you seeing a trend there? Are you still seeing that people really want to talk to the agent versus do a self sign up, self educate and enroll type of
Yeah.
program?
Great question. It depends on the demos. We sell to seniors. Most of our clients are 50, 60 and older. They are used to buying from somebody face to face, even though a lot of them are online. Not all of them are. and they expect service. They expect help personally. So in our side, it's kind of been the same because that's where we focus, that kind of market. But if you're selling to millennials, you see a lot of these insurtech startups like Lemonade and others that their selling point is, we're not going to sell you. You just go to this website and it's easy on user experience and you just apply for whatever insurance you're looking for without someone involved. So I think if there's a trend, you're at the cusp of it. But I don't think it's to the point where if you're thinking about getting into this business with specific demos that you target, that it's going to be a career changer or a career ender. I still think that there's plenty of life left in the one-on-one type of strategy. And I think as you move your way up to, last point I'm making this, I think the higher level products that you sell that are more sophisticated, that take more planning, that take more thinking, as opposed to the kind of one and done type of products, think like estate planning or advanced planning, that kind of thing. People will demand an agent. And so I think that will always be there to some extent. And you're safer, I think, as an agent if you go to that market over the long run, for sure. But right now, even just one and done products still do very well in the right markets.
Do you think that it makes sense in insurance to be niche and kind of focus on estate planning only? Or do you think that it's better to be able to offer a wide array of products so you can offer more solutions to help each customer?
So I think that, first of all, sales and businesses, it's a performance art. It's a performance game. Okay. Liken it to sports. The top caliber athletes typically, besides maybe Deion Sanders and Michael Jordan, they all did one sport, right? Tiger Woods only played golf, right? So likewise, and those are people that are the most, athletically gifted, right? We're just normal people. You have to just figure that you're a normal person. So you don't need to overload yourself with too much to learn, right? So I believe starting off, it's vastly important that you niche yourself into one particular strategy, one particular product, one particular market, put blinders on and go all in. Now, once you're established, completely comfortable with starting to add other products that are sensible within, I prefer an agent to focus on products sensible within the niche that they're already in. Like, for example, we'll teach agents to start with final expense and then gradually over 6 to 12 months, as they're consistently selling, start offering Medicare. Most of our clients who buy burial insurance are older and on Medicare. So it's makes sense to just, cross-sell something that everybody has already.
What are you seeing is really helps to break into insurance space? Like, what are the kind of things? Is it characteristics people have? Is it initial training that they get? Like, what are you seeing kind of helps a lot for somebody to get in the space, hit the ground running, and be on the track for success?
It's a weird business, man. I like the people that come into this business, they do it by accident. Nobody grows up dreaming to be, a stodgy old insurance guy. They lose a job that they love. They can't get employed because their ageism, as they call it. Sometimes a lot of people I work with are over 50 that are quite credentialed, but never would be accepted because they require too much money. So I think it really comes down to not pedigree or background or what you had or didn't have growing up. I think what this business comes down to, if you want to be success in it, is you have to have the right character traits. And I think those character traits that you need to have are things like coachability. I think you need to be humble. I think you have to absolutely have a hardworking discipline, and you have to be committed and teachable. And I think if you can consistently execute on all that stuff and perform daily, the sky's the limit for this business.
When you get somebody on board, what kind of things are involved with getting them ready to actually be successful? We talked a little bit about marketing, getting leads, how to get leads, but like, what product knowledge do they have to have beyond the initial training? What's involved with kind of getting somebody educated to a point where they can get with a customer and start having conversations?
So we teach agents the most important selling point is selling yourself. The product knowledge is important. It's not too terribly hard with insurance sales, at least in our niche. But more importantly than anything, it's not the brand name of the company that sells the product, it's the agent themselves. So what we spend most of our time on is immersing the agent over a couple of weeks and learning the craft of selling insurance, how to connect to a prospect, how to become likable, trustworthy, how to pre-qualify the client to see that they're actually a good fit for the product, how to position our product so the client sees it's obviously a better fit than what the other options are out there, and then how to close and rebut objections, that kind of thing. That's where we spend 2/3 of our time on doing, because if you can master the craft of connection and gaining trust from somebody who was a stranger an hour ago to now they're giving you their social security number and banking information, it doesn't matter company information as much. But we do spend time for sure learning how the product works, why we would pick one company over another. Of course, in our business, just because you want insurance doesn't mean you get it. You got to be medically approved. So we teach agents how to medically underwrite to find the right plans. And really, it's really that simple. It doesn't take more than a couple weeks to get going. And in our business, we have a saying: ready, fire, aim. You want to get ready, you want to plan, you want to have a strategy, but you don't want to wait too long before you start testing it, because ultimately the best teacher is actual experience, and to get feedback from that and course correct appropriately.
So you got to get out there and start making sales right
Yeah.
away. Is it tough to have all the product knowledge that's needed to succeed in the industry? Because it seems like that's an overwhelming amount of information that you need to even be able to start having conversations.
Yeah. So we try to make the complex simple. So one of our teaching strategies is, we're independent agents. Our strategy, we teach agents to work with multiple insurance companies. The opposite of that is what we call a captive agent, where they work with one company. And that's very simple, but there's a lot of product holes and vulnerabilities that maybe your policy you sell gets replaced, and then you have a chargeback financially, and then there's problems, of course, with that. So we limit the amount of carriers an agent starts with between 4 and 5, depending on how new they are. So we don't ask them to pick up 20 carriers. We don't want to make this too complex. We want to focus their attention on a small amount. And we just, I think anything that is worth pursuing is going to be overwhelming. I'm not sitting here saying that we've cracked the nut that anybody anywhere can do this. I mean, not everybody can, clearly. Failure is quite the commonality. But that's kind of what the good thing about this business too. It is overwhelming, but a lot of that learning and overwhelm will reduce as you start to make sales and you see the excitement of getting results. And as you start to go out there and see your prospects, you do see things repeat themselves. You say, oh, that person has COPD. Well, this company is going to underwrite them. So it all becomes easier over time, but there's no easy way around the overwhelm. And it's good too, because it thins the herd. It gets rid of agents so that there's not as much competition. So it's, in a sense, it's a good thing.
What kind of selling process have you found to be successful?
So I used to call what I do the Socratic diplomatic method. So that was my fancy name. The idea behind it was Socrates in debates in Athens never really forced his opinion on anybody. What he would do is have a question-based strategy to where he would help his adversary realize for himself through his own logical sequence that what he was saying, Socrates was right. So the idea in sales here for us is we use a question-based strategy. A lot of people relate what we do to the Sandler method. I've never looked at it, but a lot of people say it looks like the Sandler method. So the idea we use is we ask a lot of open-ended questions. We ask the client, what would happen if they died today? How would your final expenses be prepared? We walk them through the process of experiencing the pain of not being prepared. We also walk them through the past experiences of other people they loved who were or weren't prepared, to kind of compare and contrast of what it's like. And what we believe is there's no better salesperson than the actual prospect. If the prospect's sitting there saying, yes, it was terrible when my wife died and she wasn't protected. I had to come out of pocket. We had to borrow money. I don't want my kids to do that. Guess what? There's no better persuasion tactic than them basically selling themselves on buying from you, right? And we call this backing the hearse up against the front porch. We want the clients to see that death is going to happen. It ain't negotiable. It's just a matter of time. You just don't know when. And either way, you need to be prepared. So we leverage that a lot. That's a big component of my strategy. And from there, it's pretty simple. If you get somebody emotionally invested, and none of this is pushy, by the way. It's very open-ended questions, just walking them through the thought process. Once we get them emotionally invested, luckily in our business, our competition really has terrible options for coverage. And we can shop around for our clients with different carriers we have. So we're in this unique position where we're not married or push a product. We're trying to find them the best deal. And then from there, it's a downward hill in the sense of, they're a qualified prospect. They've got urgency. They're most likely going to buy with very little objections.
What's the advantage of doing a virtual a virtual setup like you have. I've never heard that before. I didn't even know that existed. And one of my buddies does that in real estate. Now they're like the biggest real estate company out there now. I think it's 100% virtual. So, but I've never heard of that model
Yeah.
before in the insurance side. So what's the advantages of running a virtual office like you do, or a virtual agency, I should say,
Sure.
versus like the old, brick and mortar agency?
Yeah. I mean, number one, my personality, I'm an introvert. I grew up, I watched my father run a very large chemical business and traveled everywhere and never was home. And, it was a grind for him. And I wanted success in business, but I didn't want the trappings that would, typical business would require, operating costs, travel everywhere, employees to worry about, et cetera. So I created the virtual business concept because you can learn things virtually, because at the end of the day, all learning is self-initiated. You have to take the time to study and practice a script. What's the difference in person or virtually? And it allowed me to scale my business up high because I'm not, that another advantage. I'm not restricted to just Tennessee where I live. I'm nationwide. And a lot of people like this idea of autonomy. They don't want to report to an agency in the traditional sense and have a job in the traditional sense. So there's a lot of that entrepreneurial feel in what I do that connects to a lot of people. So for me, it's been great. I don't have any employees. I do a lot of virtual, have some virtual assistants that helped. And, but I can still provide great training in a way that I can help more people who then turn around and help more of their prospects.
So does your agency have agents that work for you, or do you just teach other agents how to be
Yeah.
successful?
So that's where they're 1099. So in
Okay, so
essence,
that
yeah,
makes
they're
sense.
independent contractors, not
Sure.
employees. Right.
Okay. Because you said non-employees, I'm like, how does that structure work? That makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised that this isn't more popular because, like, I'm just thinking about it as I'm talking to you. Over 20 years, I've been my insurance agent. I've never been in their office. I've never walked in
Isn't
their
that
office.
funny?
In
Yeah.
20 years, I've never been in there. I never even
Yeah.
thought about that before. So it makes me really even wonder why this old model of having physical offices is even still there. I mean, I'm sure like a lot of your clientele do, right? Because they're older
Oh, yeah.
and they probably feel more comfortable. So but how do you operate nationwide? Do you have to have special licensing to be able to operate nationwide?
Yeah. In some cases, you have to be licensed in the States. In our business, we run on a direct sales type of business model. So if you can, I hate to compare it to like a multi-level marketing hierarchy, but it is. You don't require in many states and with many carriers a license in that state. So there's lower operating costs even on the agency side. Some states do require it, and we just pick up the non-resident license. And all licensing is state-based. So you have to go to the state and purchase a license. But once you pass a license, say like in Tennessee, it's reciprocal. It's like a conceal and carry permit in a lot of states. You don't have to take the test again. That state's passed test is equivalent and equal to theirs. So you just give the government their money like usual, and they'll make you a license. So yeah, it's not too terribly bad. It's some cost, but it's not like crushing in expense.
Is that per agent or per agency? Like if I come in as an agent under you, do I have to go to all the states that require licensing and individually get licensed, or am I just included because your agency is included?
Yeah, so the agent has to be licensed in their state. And typically that's all you need. Most agents aren't calling in all the states I'm in. If I have licenses in other states, it's because either A, I'm a virtual based agent that just has a scope over many states selling to clients, or B, I'm an agency and the state requires it. But as a direct agent, like if you're going to work in my agency, all you'd need, let's say you live in, where do you live?
Florida.
Florida. You just need a Florida license. As long as you just had plans to sell in Florida, that's it. You don't need any others.
And then in the other state that I want to sell in, you guys help me get the requirement or the licensing done to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's like a 5-minute process online.
That's really it should be simple. If I tested once one place, like you said,
Yeah.
it's way easier to get approved other places as well.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So what do you think, what in your mind differentiates between really good products and products that aren't as good? Because we've referenced that several times of, the superiority of a lot of the products you offer compared to competition. What is a superiority, or does it differ, I guess?
I think superiority in product is probably the wrong way to define what I'm trying to, that it's superiority in offerings. And what I mean by that is, as you have essentially two different types of agents. You have a one trick pony agent that sells one company. That product is good for a lot of prospects, but it's bad, or I shouldn't say bad. It's an inferior choice. It's not an optimal choice for many others. The opposite of a captive one-trick pony agent is a broker. The broker represents typically a multitude of insurance companies. So he has many different products, and in certain situations where underwriting, the health of the client, wouldn't fit that one company, and maybe the agent had to pass up, and they were begging to, get business with them, but they couldn't underwrite them. Well, now as a broker, the chances are much higher that you can underwrite them. So, but a product on its own, any of the products, even as a broker, if you just sold one or two products, that is an inferior offering, right? But when you have multiple options, you have a higher or more superior option because you don't have the limitations that one company is going to provide, because not all companies accept every risk profile. Each company, as you'll start to investigate as a new agent, some companies are friendly with diabetes, others are friendly with cancer history or whatever. And as our part of the teaching process for agents is identifying those companies that have those niches, so that when we walk into the prospect's house or talk to them over the phone, we can optimally give them the best coverage versus force feeding them one product that's not going to be their best option.
Yeah, so it's essential to have a product offering that's
Yeah.
options, and then also providers that are options. So because it's the same way in the funding space, like merchant cash advances, like one lender is clearly better for a customer than another,
Yeah.
based on industry and all those things. So by having that selection, you can really find the best product and the best provider of that product for the individual customer.
Yeah, and you're not married. You can tell your client, look, I'm not married to these people. Like I'm working for you, not the company, in a sense. I'm here to help you get the best deal. And our clients love that because they're used to, especially our clients. We deal with more lower income clients, and if poverty typically, if you're lower income, usually pay the most anyway. But with us, it's great for them because we save them a lot of money. They get better value. They usually aren't treated with that kind of approach. And it's a win-win.
Another thing you've referenced is systems processes. What kind of systems and processes do you think are essential to be able to succeed in your industry?
Well, I think, you can't lose sight of the fundamentals. You know, Tools play a role, but they don't replace the fundamentals. And I think it's important prior to talking about, any kind of technological based systems. The important thing is activity. The important thing, as we say in the insurance business, is seeing the people. Okay. You have to see people to sell insurance. Never forget that. You have to have a system to bring you in front of prospects. That can be cold calling. That could be lead generation, like what we do. It could be seminar marketing, whatever. But you have to have a scalable system that will bring you enough of those leads to get you in front of people who are marginally interested. Then you've got to have a sales system, obviously, to convert the interest that's there as much as you can into sales. And that's really the most of it. You can add in other layers like the automated sequences on the backside to, work clients that maybe aren't interested now, but maybe interested later. But that takes a backseat to just the fundamentals, which is having a system, getting in front of prospects at a high enough level to maximize your income, and having a system to convert marginal interest into enthusiastic buyers. Those are what matters the most for what we do. Very simple.
David, where can everybody else go to learn more about working with you guys, to even just getting started as an insurance agent in the industry?
I'll give you two places to go. If you are the YouTube type, go to YouTube, put my name in, David Duford. You'll see over 1,000 plus videos I've done since 2014. And you go down the black hole. There's a lot of good information there. If there's a topic on insurance you've wondered about, I probably made a video on it. The second option, if you want to check out my agency to learn more about how it works and the details of it, then you can go to davidduford.com and you'll learn more about my agency. I've got an FAQ page that will discuss more about how it works. And there's tons and tons of resources there to just, if you want to read about it, you can investigate.
Cool. I really appreciate you coming on with us today.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and include links for everybody watching to the YouTube channel, David's YouTube channel, LinkedIn. and his website is really cool. There's a ton of free information here. What I like about it is that if you just, if you put in your email address, there's all kinds of really cool training that's available, downloads that you can get from, eight insurance agents, how they became 6 and 7 figure earning producers, all the way to like a kit that you can actually use to get started in the industry. So you can clearly see if you go to davidduford.com, and I know I didn't say it with the same tone that I should, the French, but so excuse me there, then you'll find that there's a tremendous amount of information. I've never seen so much quality information education about getting started and succeeding in the industry. So this is a great time to get into insurance. We didn't really dive into that, but that being said, you really should go to the website to make sure that you can grab as much of this as you can to learn about getting started, and then actually talk to David and his team about what's involved, because working with a virtual system like this, having the system set up, having it proven and know how to actually market and get leads, this is where people fail. They get started, they don't have the proper guidance, they don't know how to get new customers, they don't have to know how to learn how the products, they don't have the right selection of products. And all of these things are fixed with what David has actually put together. So to learn more, make sure you go to davidduford.com. That's David, DUFORD.com. And make sure you jump into the abundance of resources here so you can be successful in the insurance industry. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you visit davidduford.com. That's David, DUFORD.com, to learn more about killing it and being very successful in the insurance industry. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thanks, Dad.